All right, today we're going to dive into a short but really wise fable from Aesop called The Cock and the Jewel. It's a super simple tale, but it has a powerful message about how we figure out what's truly valuable.
So let's start by just reading the fable all the way through. I'll read it slowly so you can follow along. A cock, scratching for food for himself and his hens, found a precious stone,
and exclaimed, "If your owner had found thee, and not I, he would have taken thee up, and have set thee in thy first estate. But I have found thee for no purpose. I would rather have one barley corn than all the jewels in the world." And that's it. That's the whole story. Seems pretty short, right? But believe me, there is so much packed into those few lines.
Okay, so let's really get into the story now. We're going to break it down piece by piece, starting with our main character and what exactly he was up to.
So the story kicks off with a really normal, everyday kind of scene. You've got a cock, which, is just another word for a rooster, and he's doing exactly what you'd expect a rooster to do, searching for food. And he's not just thinking about himself, he's a provider, right? He's trying to find food for his hens, too. It's a picture of simple, honest work.
Now, let's zoom in on this one specific word, scratching. This word really paints a picture, doesn't it? You can almost see him, using his strong feet and his claws, digging around in the dirt, just hoping to find a little worm or a seed. And it's this very simple action that leads to a very surprising discovery.
So let's see what happens next, because this is where a totally ordinary day suddenly becomes, not so ordinary. The cock scratching is about to turn up something he absolutely did not expect.
So instead of finding that worm or seed he was hoping for, his claws hit something hard, something shiny. He's just uncovered a precious stone, a jewel. I mean, can you imagine his surprise? He's looking for his lunch, and boom, he finds a treasure.
So what is a precious stone, anyway? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. A beautiful, rare, super valuable gem. Think of things like a diamond, or a ruby, or an emerald. For us, for people, these things are incredibly special. They're worth a ton of money.
In this discovery, it creates a kind of puzzle. It really makes us ask a pretty interesting question. What's actually more valuable? A shiny diamond or just a single grain of rice? Now, I know what you're thinking. Most of us would immediately say the diamond, of course. But this story is asking us to think about that answer just a little bit more.
The cock's reaction to finding this treasure, that's the real heart of the story. And it is probably not what you'd expect. So let's take a close look at the very wise words he has to say.
This cock is surprisingly smart, right? He gets it immediately. He understands that he is not the right creature to find this jewel. He knows that if a human, the jewel's owner, had found it, they would have been absolutely thrilled. They would have picked it up and, like he says, set thee in thy first estate. That's a really cool old way of saying they'd put it somewhere important, like in a ring or on a crown.
And this slide just lays out the central conflict perfectly. On one hand, you've got the jewel. To a person, it's gorgeous, it's worth a fortune, but you can't eat it. And on the other hand, you have a simple barley corn, just one single grain. To a person, it's almost worthless. But to a hungry cock, hey, that's food. That's a meal. It has real practical use. And this brings us to the most important line, this powerful statement from the cock. He makes his choice absolutely crystal clear. For him, in his situation, one single, humble piece of food is worth more than all the jewels in the entire world. He's not impressed by the sparkle, he doesn't care about the money, because it doesn't solve his problem. It doesn't meet his needs.
So, okay, we get why the cock made his choice. Now let's dig a little deeper and uncover the real lesson of this fable. What's the story's true jewel? What's the big idea it's trying to share with us?
Okay, here it is, the main takeaway. What is truly valuable depends entirely on your needs. See, value isn't this fixed, universal thing. An object's worth is personal. It's situational. It all comes down to who you are and what you need right at that moment. Think about it. A warm coat is priceless if you're stuck in a blizzard, right? But that same coat is pretty much useless on a hot tropical beach. It's a really simple but powerful idea. And if you break it down, the Cox logic is just perfect. It makes total sense. Step 1, he had a basic need. He was hungry. Step 2, he found an object, the jewel. Step 3, he realized that object could not help him with his need, which leads him to the only possible conclusion in step 4. For him, that little barley corn was way more valuable because it was actually useful. Here's another great way to think about the lesson from this story. It's a powerful reminder that we all see the world a little differently. You know, a rare comic book might be precious to a collector, but to someone else, it's just a bunch of paper. A bottle of water is more valuable than a bar of gold to a person who's lost in the desert. And this applies to our own lives too, right? In how we choose to spend our time, our money, even in what we value in other people. It's all about perspective. And so, this ancient little story leaves us with a really big question to ask ourselves. When you look at your own life, what's something simple, something practical, maybe something other people don't even notice, that is more valuable to you than all the jewels in the world? What's your barley corn?